Hey Mike, we got a book here. Did you read this?
Yes, I have. And I would recommend it to everybody who has ever thought about Bigfoot, especially those who consider themselves Bigfoot people, Bigfooters, Bigfoot researchers, whatever you want to be. Of course, it's a controversial book because Autumn Williams in this book is telling a story as told to her by a man she calls Mike, who we're told lives in Florida, and that he has befriended a skunk ape that he named Enoch. The word Enoch having nothing to do with any biblical references in this case. It's just based on a sound that he made, apparently. And in this book, we're told that the Bigfoot is pretty cool. That these skunk apes, have an elaborate society, that they get together in family groups, that they have kind of a family gathering once a year, something to that effect. And in here, Autumn is also in the book struggling with the process she's going through in putting this together. Now, those of you who have paid attention to her work knows that she recently posted a video where she stated that she was no longer considering herself a researcher, but now she wanted to be a witness advocate. And of course, that's exactly what this book is all about. It's about advocating for the witness who told her the story and saying that she's going to present the story as he told it, and make no attempt to prove that any of it is real. So it's an unproven story, and as such, of course, people are going to have attitudes about it. And I think, though, the problem that she had in reconciling all this in her own mind and her approach and what that was going to do to her reputation and so forth is very interesting, because being a full-time Bigfoot person also, I've had to do a lot of soul-searching about this whole thing myself. And many's the time people have come into the museum here and said to me, well, what are you going to do if you prove they're real? Isn't that going to then expose them to all sorts of problems? And, I have to think about that. And I've thought about it on and off over the years. And at this point, what I generally tell people is this. The thing is that the cat's out of the bag. There are so many groups now of people looking for Bigfoot, so many eyewitnesses who have come forward, that if I suddenly stopped working on the Bigfoot mystery and trying to solve the Bigfoot mystery, it's not going to go away. There's plenty of other people who will continue. So for me to suddenly drop out because I'm afraid that the Bigfoot might be endangered by the research, I don't think is the right attitude at this point. I think it's more like, I think the attitude is more like ours, which is that we want to be a part of this, a part of, picking out the reality from the fantasy in this Bigfoot thing, getting it straightened out, and making sure that the people who are involved in doing this and involved in proving the reality of these things are people with a good conscience and a good mindset, and people who are not doing it just as an exploitation device, but actually some people who are interested in having the best possible outcome for all concerned, and that would include the Bigfoot people themselves. And some of the things that are in here, interestingly enough, that Autumn has mentioned, there's a section where she talks a bit about, what have we learned from Mike here and his experiences about Bigfoot, and how does that match up with some of her previous concepts and ideas. And I just want to call attention to a few of them here, because they match up very nicely with some of my hypotheses and some of my ideas, which of course are just based on basic logic. And the first thing I'll call to your attention, she says, survival is the key. The things they do are deliberately done to ensure it. So if you're curious what a Bigfoot would do in a given situation, simply ask yourself, what would I do in order to best ensure my survival in that situation? In other words, try and put yourself in the Bigfoot shoes and try and think like they would, and give them the benefit of the doubt in having a mind and the ability to think things through. Because our local research indicates that they're undoubtedly sentient beings of some sort, and at least they're aware of their relationship to us. So here's some of the things she said. I've always expected that they're both, she says. Both what? Both territorial and nomadic. They appear to be nomadic most of the time. However, there are times when they will actually back people away, and they will put up a big enough fuss that it makes you stop, makes you leave, makes you go away from the area that they're trying to keep you from. So apparently if they've got something going down that's important and it can't happen somewhere else, and you happen upon them and happen into the area, they're going to get you out of there. Otherwise they'll just turn and walk away. So yeah, they're nomadic. They move seasonally due to climate, comfort, and also food resources. And in our area here, we have a pretty nice climate, so they're capable of being here almost all year round without any problem. There's still plenty of food. So Autumn talked about the pattern. He's noticed a pattern in the seasons in which Enoch is present at certain times and when he's not. And we've noted that too in our area. These things seem to go out of the area for a stretch of time when all the fruit's kind of played out. There's nothing really in season, no major fruit crops. But as soon as the fruit crops reappear, then the sightings start to happen again in some of these areas. Mike observed that they travel in small independent family groups, but meet up at particular destinations in larger groups so that they can interact. And I hadn't thought about that in the context of our local area, at least in terms of them getting together in larger groups, but it did seem to be quite clear that they would be traveling through here in small groups, because otherwise it would be too easy for them to be discovered. And the descriptions that we've had never more than 2 have been spotted together in Santa Cruz. But I suspect that there are little family units that are moving through, because we've had juveniles and females described, as well as larger males. Let's see, what else this autumn talk about? The creatures are... well, they're talking about the language. We have heard examples of language in that we've got guttural sounds mixed in with these louder long-range screams that are typically heard. But what we've noticed in our area is that when the screams happen, they're always joined in by coyotes. And coyotes then appear to be part of what's going on. Now, we've had people also describe hearing a Bigfoot that within one sentence went through a whole group of animal sounds. Started out as an owl, became a rooster at some point, and ended up with a dog bark, all in one long breath while traveling through a neighborhood. So it's pretty clear that they're using and mimicking animals and using animal sounds as part of their language. So, and the reason for that being very simple, that way they can converse at night, and when humans hear them, we just kind of roll over and go, it must be a coyote. And we found that in neighborhoods where these screams are outrageously loud and omnipresent, how few people actually do hear them. We've had sounds that were staggering, and then when I interviewed people in the area, asking if they're aware of coyotes and things going through their backyards at night, they're not. And we know they're there because we've recorded them. Sharing food, yeah, we think that they do that. Different types of creatures, well, we've talked about that before. If the Bigfoot are indeed pretty close to being Homo sapiens, let's say they're a different genus of Homo, or a subspecies of Homo, then it would be logical that there would be some hybridization going on. The natives up in British Columbia told us many years ago that they could mate with humans. We have the genome now of Neanderthal sequenced, and recent articles are indicating that everybody has a little Neanderthal DNA, apparently, except a couple of African tribes that never went out of Africa. The Hottentots, the Pygmies, apparently don't have any Neanderthal in their mitochondrial DNA, but all the rest of the people on the planet pretty much do. So we know that it's quite likely that humans and Homo sapiens were mating with Homo neanderthalis. This is now proven. So it's quite likely that a Bigfoot could be some kind of a match like that, something that's part human and part some other transitionary stage. Because you had Homo neanderthalis, well, there's also several other species that have been named, at least from bone remains in different parts of Europe and so forth. Homo heidelbergensis, Homo merganther, there's the Homo ergaster. These are different species names for transitional beings that are kind of between Neanderthal and human-like. And it may turn out that Bigfoot's one of these. We've suggested it might be Meganthropus, for example. So, yeah, a lot of the things that she's mentioning here are very logical and seem to be matched by our local research. And you see, what's unique about our area is that because what we've got here is a suburban Sasquatch backyard Bigfoot situation here, we think that we've had 300 years or so now since about 1760, when the river here was first named by the Spaniards, and then they built the mission down on the coast just 5 miles from here. We've got a long history of these things being in the area, and I think that would mean that they're going to be quite used to sharing the space with humans, with Homo sapiens. And Autumn's book is indicating that these guys are very human-like, much more human-like than they are ape-like. And I think that our guys here in Santa Cruz County are already more habituated than most because of the closeness to humans.